Hello and welcome to Nerd Subculture. I'm your host Jared.
And I'm Edwina.
And we are still doing a Once More with Feeling series on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Today is Season 3, Episode 11, Gingerbread.
Yes, Gingerbread.
This episode first aired January 12, 1998. Written by Thanya St. John and Jane Espenson. Espenson and directed by James Whitmore Jr.
This is a full spoiler podcast. I'm a huge fan, but Jared has never watched the series all the way through, and I'm trying to convince him it's worth his time. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to say, this episode, I pretty much normally skip it.
Yeah.
This is my most hated episode.
Most hated episode. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Above Teacher's Pet.
Right.
Yes.
Wow, that's saying a lot, isn't it?
Like, I normally skip it.
Right. Okay,
Yep.
so is it weird watching it? Like, you haven't watched it in a long time, I'm guessing.
Every now and again I'd watch it.
Oh, okay. So it's not complete
So it's not.
write-off.
So there was sometimes I'll do a rewatch where I have to rewatch every episode, even the really bad ones.
You have to, do you?
Have to.
The laws of Buffy. You have to
Yeah.
rewatch it.
I'm not saying it's the worst episode of Buffy, but it's the episode that I personally hate the most.
Wow, you've really got it in for this episode. I didn't really feel that hatred for it, but yeah, but it was all right. Yeah.
But so I had to, as you said, you're like, oh, and it is one of those episodes a lot of people are kind of like, oh, I kind of like it type thing. You know, they don't really have that sort of...
You seem to take it personal.
No. So in watching this episode, I had to ask myself, why do I hate this episode so much?
Yes.
And it comes down to, I am not a big fan of mob rule or mob mentality.
Yeah,
Or
I know
anything.
that. Notice that, yeah.
Yeah, you know that. Or anything where people get burnt at the stake. You also know that.
I didn't notice that, no.
Yeah, I hate it. I think I was perhaps burnt at the stake in a previous life because I just can't handle...
Yeah, what about the first
happening.
season of Blackadder when he gets burnt at the stake? And he's sitting there going, oh, I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah, as I said, not a fan.
Not a fan of that episode?
No.
And not a fan of this one?
Yeah. Do you want to do the summary? Because I'm going to lose my train of thought.
Yeah, all right. That sounds really interesting what you're saying there. So we'll get this out the way and then we'll head back to what your input there is. So, while waiting in the park for Buffy, her mother Joyce discovers the bodies of two dead children. At school the next day, Buffy shows Giles a symbol which was visible on the hands of the two children. He tells her that demons do not use symbols and that it is no doubt occult related. At lunch, Joyce shows up and announces that there will be a vigil at the city hall that night. Many concerned parents attend the vigil, including Willow's mother. Mayor Wilkins says a few words before Joyce gives a speech about how people of Sunnydale must take back the city from the monsters, witches, and slayers. Later, Michael, Amy, and Willow perform a spell in a circle that surrounds the symbol Buffy saw on the children's hands. Buffy finds the symbol in one of Willow's notebooks. Willow explains that the symbol is part of a protection spell for Buffy's upcoming birthday. Meanwhile, all the school lockers are searched for witch-related material and Giles' occult books are seized by the police. Amy and Willow are taken to Principal Snyder's office for questioning. At Buffy's home, Joyce forbids Buffy to see Willow anymore, takes credit for the locker searches and states that Buffy's slaying does Sunnydale no good.
Mother of the Year.
Mother of the Year, everybody.
Mother of the Year award.
The ghosts of the two children appear to Joyce and tell her that she has to hurt the bad girls. At the park, Buffy talks with Angel, who convinces her not to give up fighting. When he makes a passing remark about the children and their parents, Buffy is struck by the thought that the children's parents have never been seen or mentioned and the fact that no one knows the children's names. The Scooby Gang learns that every 50 years throughout history, the murdered bodies of two children have been found, resulting in peaceful communities being torn apart by vigilante chaos. The earliest record dating from Germany during 1649, where a cleric from Black Forest discovered the corpses of Hans and Greta Strass, inspiring the fairy tale Hansel and Gretel. Giles explains that certain demons thrive on watching humans destroy each other through persecution and ignorance. According to Giles, this is what set off the Salem witch trials. Buffy and Giles are knocked up with chloroform by Joyce and her friends at the behest of the two children. Amy, Willow, and Buffy are taken to City Hall where they are tied to wooden posts surrounded by books. Cordelia finds Giles unconscious, wakes him up, and they rush to the hall. Just as Buffy wakes up, her mother lights books on fire, sentencing the three girls to death by burning at the stake. Amy escapes by transforming herself into a rat. At City Hall, Cordelia uses a fire hose to put the burning stakes out. The two children transform into the large demon, which charges at Buffy. Buffy breaks the stake and uses it to impale the demon. Buffy's and Willow's mother have forgotten about what happened, but Willow's mother remembers Willow said she is dating Oz and has been invited to dinner. The end. All right, Eddie.
All right. The one thing I was going to say, like, why are they doing the burning in the City Hall? Like,
aren't they on some sort of spell, though? Isn't that sort of
Yeah.
what's
But
happening?
wouldn't you, like, I know, is it supposed to be about the lack of common sense? Because they're burning them alive inside a building.
Yeah.
Aren't they just going to set the building on fire?
Aren't they just going to smoke themselves to death?
Yeah.
Kill themselves with all the smoke inhalation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that something that you, like, even, you know, when you're doing your old book burnings, don't you do it outside?
Yeah, or maybe that's just playing on the fact that they're under such a harsh spell that they're just not even thinking rationally. I mean, she is burning her daughter at the stake here.
Yeah, true.
So,
True.
Yeah, while they're talking about going for lunch.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's meant to be the joke.
Maybe.
That's the joke.
Yeah. Also, I actually think Amy wasn't trying to turn herself into a rat. I think she was trying to turn someone into the rat, but because her hands were tied,
she turned herself into a rat. Yeah.
So I think she did that. It was actually an accident.
Yeah. Well, that kind of worked. Well,
but her powers are a bit inconsistent. So the only reason to really watch this episode is because Amy as a rat is now in this series.
okay. So this is a continuing character to her now. She's a rat.
She's a rat
from now on, or
up until season 6 when.
Oh, really? That long, huh?
Yeah, and Willow works out how to turn her back into a human by then.
So she's written out of the show for 3 seasons.
Yeah, and then comes back. But when she comes back, she seems to have a lot more powers than, like, she's almost as powerful as Willow.
Okay.
So
maybe she was, but she just couldn't, because she couldn't use her hands. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
it
but
didn't
she
work.
only seemed to have the let down goddess Hecate, let the unthing clean thing crawl. That
The
spell.
Hecate, yeah.
the Hecate spell. Like, I thought that's all she had. That's why she used that to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hate the mob rule trope. You know, like, so the episode, you know, it's kind of based on, you know, satanic panic of the 80s and parents being scared of their children worshipping the devil.
Yeah.
Mothers opposing the occult, moo.
Moo.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Was it mothers?
Mothers opposing the occult.
Yeah.
And I just hate those, you know, morally hypocritical groups.
Yeah.
That they can dictate what is right and wrong.
Yeah, and it also,
their eyes.
yeah, it always seems hypocritical, especially South Park did it. I mean, it's been done so many times, and Simpsons did it. So it's been done. Well, or just going back to the South Park one when she didn't want those Canadian guys, you know, what are the names? Terrence and Phillip.
Terrence and Phillip, yeah.
And she was allowing to have Hal take over the earth, so these kids couldn't be exposed to fart jokes.
Yes.
So all these people were killed and died just so some kids can't hear some fart jokes, and that's just so typical of the hypocrisy that these parents, these groups, sort of spruik on about. And
Yeah, but also deciding, banning banning books, censorship.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Yeah, that's all you hear.
Yeah.
Written on top of every Karen's tombstone, I think.
Whose?
Karen.
Yes, Karen. But also the big issue is it's that there are real groups like Moo that are just have their heads so self-righteously up their own asses.
Well, you bring this up. I was going to save this for down the rabbit hole, but seeing as we're bringing this up, so my rabbit hole, or what I was looking into, was the PMRC.
Okay.
Now, do you remember the PMRC?
Now, are they the ones that wanted the advisory sticker on?
Yes.
CDs.
Yeah, so the CDs they wanted on.
That's what this episode reminds me of.
Yeah, and that really cool movie, Warning Parental Advisory. That came out in the early 2000s. I don't think anyone's heard or seen of this film. It's been buried. But basically,
that's Jason Priestley in it.
Jason Priestley's in it. Dee Snider plays himself in it.
Yeah. I just can't remember. They have that other, what's that, Rocky Mountain High guy.
Oh, they had John Denver in it.
John Denver, yeah.
Yeah, so but the PMRC, the Parents Music Resource Centre, it's a weird name for a group.
Mm-hmm.
It was in 1985. It was founded by Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife. It's kind of funny because it seemed very ultra-conservative, this group, but they're from the Democratic side of the party, which is kind of interesting, which probably shows you how closely aligned those parties are sometimes. So they basically wanted all sort of songs to be or music in general to be rated and to have all these stickers on saying they had explicit lyrics on it. So there had these trials in America at the time, and Dee Snider, who played himself in the movie, gave this speech, which I recommend to check out, where he gives this speech before a hearing of some sort. Where he just basically opens up and says, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke, I'm happily married, I'm actually a Christian, practicing Christian. I have firm beliefs, and what the accusations are saying about my songs are just absolutely false and defamatory. And all these things that they see in my music are all in their own dirty little minds.
Yeah.
Is basically what he says.
Yeah, because then John Denver comes in saying that his song Rocky Mountain High got banned.
Well, that was an interesting thing in the film because it was kind of a dark horse because they got Dee Snider in, but they knew they wouldn't listen to Dee Snider. They wanted to get someone on their side who they'd listen to.
Yeah.
So they got John Denver in because they thought that in the film they made up they weren't really sure who he would align with, and he ended up sort of coming out and saying, well, one of my songs was criticised for being the song Rocky Mountain High for drug use, but I was just writing about the high on life of seeing the Rocky Mountains, and this is akin to Nazi censorship, and then they can completely back down, and he's got to save the day. I really recommend you watch this film. Warning, parental advisory. I don't know where you'd find it.
I don't know where you'd find it. I think it's like one of those Hallmark movies.
I think it said it was on Prime, so you could try it on there. Yeah, it was a TV film. I actually had a clip from it too that I wanted to play as well. There was a hilarious scene from that film.
It's at the end scene?
No, that is... I'd forgotten about that scene too. And that is a brilliant scene at the end. Should I spoil it? No one's going to see this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically Jason Priestley is fighting with this lobbyist group against the PMRC and about all the parents, trying to ban their kids' songs. And the final scene at the end is where Jason Priestley goes to walk in his children's room and hears some rap music playing, talking about killing people. And he comes in and goes to tell off his kids until his wife says, honey, giving him the look. And he's like, holy shit. He basically became the PMRC. And, basically became what he tried to destroy. So,
what the hell are you listening to?
That's it.
Yeah.
Honey.
Aren't they dressed? Aren't they kind of dressed like Eminem or something as well?
Not really. No, they're just in their room, I guess. Nothing. So just one scene I wanted to play from this, and there's a scene where they sort of hear the rumblings of this PMRC group coming out and making headways, and they go to a church where they're doing like a presentation of how graphic these songs are. And Jason Priestley and a couple of other characters are sort of sitting in there quietly, sort of trying to watch to see what's going on and what are they talking about, just to see what they're up against. And this guy gets on the podium and starts reading lyrics from Kiss songs. And it's like this older guy, like conservative, and he's trying to contain himself while he's reading these vulgar lyrics. And Jason Priestley and his friend are in the audience trying not to laugh at this guy reading these vulgar lyrics. This one's from a Kiss song.
Your love, hard as a rock, can't get enough. Want to feel you deep inside, pumping through my veins, feel you to the core. Like a dog to a bone, make you sweat, make you moan. Love is sweet, so insane. Come on, lick my candy cane.
You guys
Give me
stop.
more. Oh, give me more. Baby, give
It's
me
like
more.
he's
want
sweating,
you.
and he's like got a tissue on his
Come
head.
on, give me more.
As
Give me,
he's saying
give me
this.
more. Give me, oh.
So he's like sweating on stage, and then there's
We made it.
then the next part,
The mentors.
the mentors.
sing, all through my excrement you shall roam. Bend up and smell my anal vapor. Your face is my toilet paper. On your face I leave a shit tower. Golden showers. Golden shower.
That's probably the funniest part of the film. I spoiled it, but yeah.
No, it is actually
he's
a
up,
really
he's up
good
there, and he's sweating, and he's tapping a tissue on his face as he's reading these vulgar lyrics, and they're trying not to laugh, but everyone in the audience is like horrified and mortified. Oh my God, my children are listening to this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely does come to mind when I watched
Yeah,
this
it's what I was
episode.
thinking about the whole time was that movie, and yeah, I might need to watch it again.
If you can find it.
If you can find it. I don't even think you could download that one. It'd be so obscure. I don't think you could find it.
Yeah. Yeah, I will also say Joyce is the absolute worst in this.
Yeah.
She actually tries to kill Buffy.
Yeah, but yeah, she was under a spell, so.
Still.
Yeah. Well, you forgive Angel because he's like, not Angelus, and he tried to kill, and he did kill people.
Was she nearly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as I said, she nearly killed her. But I think it's also some of the stuff that she was saying actually felt like it wasn't just the spell.
Well, she mentioned the Slayer when she said that speech, something about the witches and slayers in the town. Well, there's only one Slayer or two Slayers, so it's only two people she's talking about specifically. She doesn't know Willow's a witch, so yeah, that was a bit close to heart, that one for sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, it's also you don't like seeing her act that way as well. Like that, I think that's what I hate. But yeah, that where she was willing to kill her own daughter to be morally superior, is that?
I don't think you're supposed to make sense of that. Like, and that's the whole ridiculousness of the scene where they're talking about going for lunch while she's about to burn her daughter at the stake. Like, obviously there's no moral sense to any of this, and the demon's having a really good time getting off on this.
Yeah,
reading off in the background, watching all the humans torture each other like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And as you mentioned before, burning someone inside a room instead of doing it outside where they would probably all die from smoke inhalation.
Yeah. Well, and getting back to Willow's mum. So up until this point, I always thought Willow has a pretty good relationship with her parents. They're pretty relaxed with her.
Yeah. Does she have a father?
Yeah.
Have we seen him?
We barely. This is the only episode you even see Willow's mum.
Yeah.
But no, there is. I think in one of the episodes, she's like, "Oh, Dad, did you forget your keys or something?"
What did she? What, she just said that to somebody, or there was someone actually there? I don't.
No, she ends up getting kidnapped or something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. But she's like, up until this point, there hadn't been any issues with her and her parents. And then in this episode, she's like, "Oh yeah, my mother doesn't really even acknowledge that I exist." And then she's like, "Oh, her mum only notices that her hair's just been cut."
Yeah.
I was like, "My God, if I slightly changed my hair color, my mum would have noticed.
It makes me think of something Rick and Morty would do, where they would, subvert the episode where you'd have a B character who has a family that you've never seen before.
Yeah,
And we'll play on the fact, they didn't even exist until 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
As if they didn't exist.
Yeah. But they so with Xander, he has a rough relationship with his parents.
Yeah. Well, only the fact that it was mentioned once, though, the previous episode.
Oh, no, it's mentioned a few times.
Oh, is it?
Like,
No.
it's scattered throughout.
Okay.
About his family life. And yeah, so I always find it difficult to believe that, it's just one of those things that's convenient for this episode that will make Willow's mum a absent kind of parental figure.
Was she some kind of psychiatrist or something like that? Because
I
it kind of
think-
seemed like she was always analysing her.
Yeah, I think she's like a professor or something.
Yeah, like every time she said something, it's like, oh, this is just a natural reaction of a teenager to repress her parents, And like, what?
Yeah.
You talk to the kid like that. You talk to a patient like that,
Yeah.
not your child.
Yeah.
So I almost felt like that she was some sort of professional psychiatrist or something like that.
Yeah. So, also Buffy is like, oh, Giles, find a loophole on that killing humans thing for me.
Yes, yeah.
But as we've talked about this before,
she doesn't need one.
She's already found the loophole.
Yeah. She doesn't need a loophole. She's just done it.
Like, she's already no, she found the loophole.
What was the loophole?
The loophole is that you don't save them from themselves.
Oh, but she's actually killed people though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what we discussed. She's actually killed people.
But it's also based on their own actions. If they hadn't have tried to kill her,
Yeah. Oh, that too. But she killed the policewoman that time, didn't she?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But she was trying to kill her.
But no, but what it wasn't.
Was it because she was in the Order to Rock that?
Well, it was. We discussed it was a human, and she killed her.
Yeah.
So there was.
So she has killed humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've discussed that she's
We've
actually
discussed
killed.
she's killed
She's
humans.
killed quite a few
Yeah.
humans.
So there's no loophole. She's just done it.
loophole.
There's no way getting around, needing to get around it.
Yeah.
You've just done it anyway. So why bother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why bring it up? Which she has. Let's talk about the Xander Oz B plot of this episode.
It seemed pretty pointless just to give them something to do.
Completely pointless. It just has Xander acting awkward towards Oz, even though Oz wasn't acting awkward towards him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I was like, what's wrong with you?
Like Xander creating his own problems.
Yeah, well, him reacting the way that he does is making it awkward.
Yeah. So I'll say something I do like about this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Its lighting is a bit different to the other episodes.
Really?
I thought
didn't
it was
notice about that.
lit a bit differently. Like the shadows were a bit richer and
Okay,
a
no,
bit more contrast in it. And I think they use a bit more handheld cam or whatever you call it.
Handycam.
Handycam.
The old handycams. I doubt
Yeah.
they would have used those particularly, but
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
So this is sort of Cordelia also coming back into the
Coming to the Scoop Gang, yeah she's
back
coming
to
home.
Yeah, kind of joining in again. Like she does, I think she starts out being kind of super bitchy, but kind of realizes that there's something wrong going on and goes to Buffy.
Yeah, does the right thing in the end.
Yeah.
And side note, Crispin Carpenter, I just found out today, did Playboy shots.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So did Harmony.
Yeah. And Amy. Oh, not Amy. Christy Swanson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
It is funny because we have a literal witch hunt in this episode instead of a metaphorical one, which you would think they would normally do.
Yeah.
Which is what most shows do, your metaphorical witch hunt. This one just goes for a literal
Literal witch hunt,
witch
yeah.
hunt. Now I actually ended up on a little.
Oh, you went down a rabbit hole. Well, go ahead. I've already said my one. So
I fell down a little rabbit hole when I started looking up. So I looked up the little boy who plays the Hansel. And he's still acting, and he was in he was a main character in Desperate Housewives.
I did see that, but I never watched the show, so I didn't. Didn't
so
recognize who he was.
He was Andrew Vanderkamp, which is Bree's troublesome son.
Right. Yeah, I don't know the show, so I didn't pick up on that. Yeah. I did see he played in a terrible TV movie about Michael Langdon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Directed by Michael Landon's son. It was like a daytime sort of biopic film about his relationship with his father. I couldn't find much about it, and he played a version of Michael Landon's son when he was like age 10 or something. So Michael Langdon's the actor most famous from Little House on the Prairie, Bonanza, and Highway to Heaven. And he died in the early 90s. I don't know what to say about it. I did see he was in this movie, and I remember that actor. I kind of liked him for some reason. I don't know why. I really liked that Highway to Heaven show. I remember that. It was always quite sad.
Yeah.
He was like an angel who would sort of help some person or something like that.
I used to watch it.
Yeah. And it sort of end with him walking on a highway at the end.
Yeah.
Similar to sort of Incredible Hulk, I think, with like some sad music. I think that was sort of a trope to do, to have the main character walk off into an empty highway with some sad music playing.
But the other one that I went down was the guy who plays the boy witch, Michael.
Yeah.
His name's Blake Soper. But he has changed his name a couple of times, so I don't know really what he's going by these days.
The artist formerly known as Michael.
Yeah. Oh no, it was Sampel or something that he changed it to. But he was actually a main character in Boy Meets World.
Is that Fred Savage's brother? Yeah, I remember that. I remember that show. Yeah.
But he ended up giving up acting in the late 90s because even though he was in his mid-20s, nearly 30, the only roles he could get were teenage roles in school. So he ended up going on to be in a band called Rilo Kiley?
Rilo Kiley.
Kelly?
Never heard of them.
Kiley as the guitarist. And they do play later in the series.
Oh, okay.
At the Bronze.
As his character?
No.
Oh, all right.
No, you never see Michael ever again.
Okay. But I mean, you said he plays on the show.
Yes, so the band plays on the show.
But he's not playing his character though.
No.
Okay, so we don't see Stash anymore.
No.
No one knows what I'm talking about.
No. Stash
from American Psycho.
Yeah. So
the Robert Smith looking character.
Yes, I know who Stash is. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I ended up. And then Rilo Kiley is actually the name of a 19th century.
Yeah, you mentioned this,
AFL
and
player.
I don't know. I mean, funny thing is, and they actually mentioned this in something I read about them, is that they got the name from a 19th century Aussie rules football player. But every time you go to search that name, you just come up with them, and you can't find the player. So I have no idea who the guy is or who he played for. It was the 19th century, so it would have been, a Victorian team, I guess, either like Melbourne, Collingwood, St Kilda, Carlton, Essendon, Geelong, South Melbourne. They were the 8 teams, I think, around that time. So, yeah. And Fitzroy.
They're not around anymore, are they?
Oh, they merge. I think they've still got an amateur team.
Okay.
An amateur team.
I think that's pretty much all I've got. Yeah, and the fact that it's based on a fairy tale, that also comes up a couple of times in the series. There's a few more fairy tales that come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hansel. I knew straight away Hansel. We said Hansel and Gretel. Oh, you mean Hansel and Gretel?
Yeah. And then there ended up being TV shows based on
movies.
Yeah. No, based on that premise. So, Once Upon a Time and Grimm.
Yeah, and movies. There was a Hansel and Gretel movie where they're like demon killers or something.
Yeah. I think I tried to watch it once.
Yeah, who was in that? Jeremy Renner?
Yeah, Jeremy Renner's in it.
Yeah.
I didn't get very far into it.
It looked terrible.
All right. Do we want? Oh, had you seen this episode? You probably wouldn't have.
No, definitely not.
because
If you hardly
I
watched it, then I probably
hardly
missed it as
watched
well.
Yeah. So, do you want to do question time?
All right, let's do it.
Now what's that?
Jared, which character was your favourite?
I don't really struggled to sort of find a good character, but so I just went with Oz in the end. I don't know.
Yeah, same.
Did
Sorry.
you really?
No. I went with Cordelia though.
Oh, Cordelia. Yeah. Oz is just so cool with everything. Like, he's cool with Xander. Like, he's just there. And even when Giles is talking about, the fairy tale stuff and Xander starts yammering on about, magic beans and stuff, he just ignores Xander, looks at Giles and said, so what do we do?
Yeah.
How do we fix this?
Yeah.
Just get to the fucking point.
Yeah. Little too mature, as I said.
Yeah.
Mature for his age.
Yeah.
Which character do you love to hate? I'm just gonna say Joyce
Yeah. Joyce.
and Moo. Great acronym, Mum.
Acronym? Yeah. Terrible. It was the PMRC. Or the PMS. Parents Against Mothers. Parental Music Services or something like that. As when they were spitballing ideas in the movie, one of them was like that. Parental Monitoring Services. And they're like, maybe not that one.
Okay. What was the most memorable fight scene?
The chloroform scene I thought was quite memorable.
Yeah.
I thought...
it's a weird scene, isn't it?
It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You don't think things have got that bad between everyone, that they're
Yeah.
chloroforming, her own daughter and Giles.
Yeah.
Because, previous episodes, they seem to be getting along quite well. Although what tension was brewing between Joyce and Buffy, but, Giles especially, that sort of just come out of nowhere. I was like, oh, shit, we're doing this?
Yeah. And but it's all that thing, like, because in the other scene, you've got the juxtaposition of the stuff that's going on with Willow being locked in the room, and then like a group of people coming in and like pretty much
like things escalated very quickly
in that. So you're kind of expecting that to happen in a similar fashion with Joyce, but and she sort of walks in and they're all super, super calm.
Yeah, like they've planned all this out. Like if people grab the chloroform out, they're already ready to go. Like they're set. Okay, so what we do? All right, when they come in, all right, everyone be act nice, and then wait till their head is turned, and then chloroform.
Yeah, because she's too, like, they know that Buffy's too strong.
Yeah. And we all know the effects of chloroform too. They don't work like that.
Yes. And I'm going to go with probably the stake through the neck.
Which actually was taken out of British, British version of the show. It got deleted.
It got
Funny enough,
censored.
talking about censorship and everything like that, and that part was censored.
Yeah.
It was quite graphic, I have to admit, but I've seen a lot worse in TV shows. To think that was taken out. Yeah. Funny enough, there was an episode of Simpsons that's been cut, and it's the Homer Gets a Gun episode in England, because you know how that episode starts?
Oh, there's a soccer riot.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if it still is, but I know at least that scene was cut out, or it was cut altogether, which is a shame because that is a really good episode.
LOL moment.
So when you're there burning your children, got to do a bit of networking. We should really hang out sometime. Oh, that is so nice. That is so nice, Sheila.
Yeah.
Very nice. We'll go have lunch sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should stay close.
Yeah.
Yes, we should.
Should see each other next week.
Yeah. I liked Cordelia's little, I think I like the two little ones better. She does the two little ones.
Yeah.
Yes. Favorite scene?
Yeah, well, the whole witch burning scene was pretty intense, I thought.
Okay.
Like, even when they chloroformed, I didn't think things were escalating that bad, and then they just got horribly worse.
Worse and worse.
Yeah.
Everything just, it's one of those episodes where everything escalates and gets worse and worse
Yeah,
and worse
very
and
quickly.
worse.
They've gone
Yeah.
from just talking about, doing, I'm not sure what they were talking about doing actually, just sort of rallying into burning their own children at the stake. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually like the little Angel Buffy scene because after Joyce kind of gaslights Buffy a little bit and, sort of makes her feel a little bit worthless and
Yeah.
what she's doing is actually just doing nothing and evil's just going to keep coming and it's never going to change and
Yeah.
and Angel's like, you know what, it's worth, does the you
It's
fight
worth
the
fighting.
fight because
Yeah.
there's stuff worth fighting for. Yep. And they have a nice little moment and I think they've both sort of realised that they need to be in each other's life at this point. Least favourite scene.
So I really didn't like the witch chanting scene because of the misdirection that it gave.
Yeah.
And it was sort of brushed off, like, oh, we're doing a birthday spell for you.
Yeah.
What? Birthday spell?
A protection spell.
What? Why would I need that? As a birthday present as well.
Yeah.
Like,
But
happy
then-
birthday! We did a protection spell for you.
But then they couldn't tell her about it or it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Exactly
Yeah.
right. It was just
Yeah.
there for the sake of the misdirection where you saw Willow doing the chant.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't like it. It was kind of sneaky in that way. Like, I don't mind the misdirection, but it obviously was just there just to misdirect you. Like, if it was part of the plot that they were doing something for, then that would make more sense. But then they just show them chanting. And considering what luck she's had with magic so far, you think she would be a little smarter about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think she ever learns, does she?
Willow?
Yeah.
No. No. Yeah, my least favourite scene is Joyce pretty much belittling Buffy about her slaying, pretty much saying that the way that she fights the evil is pointless. And what is it that she doesn't have a plan, she just reacts to things. And we've seen what happens when Buffy doesn't because Buffy normally does have she actually does have a plan. But we've seen in The Wish, we've seen the Buffy that just reacts. That Buffy dies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Buffy has a plan.
Yeah.
Joyce doesn't.
Yeah. Favorite quote.
With Sheila and Willow. Willow, you cut off your hair. Huh, that's a new look. And Willow responds, yeah, it was just a sudden whim I had in August. So.
Yeah, I find that very hard to believe that she didn't notice her haircut.
She doesn't exist.
Mine would be Buffy. It's within that same fight scene with her mum. And Buffy says, and maybe next time that the world is getting sucked into hell, I won't be able to stop it because the anti-hell sucking book isn't on the approved reading list. Which is a very, very, very good line from Buffy.
Yeah. And there
Very
was
smart
a
line.
little off moment too when Joyce and Giles sort of met.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, they have the awkward...
they have an awkward sort of
We
moment.
haven't spoken since, doing his bumbling Englishman.
Yeah. It's the only way of getting out of that one.
Yes. Best Cordelia freakout moment. She has a couple.
Yeah, I went with, I came over here to tell Buffy to stop this craziness and found you all unconscious. Again, how many times have you been knocked out anyway? I swear, one of these times, you're going to wake up in a coma. I'm
Yeah.
guessing that's where you got that line from, Eddie. You've said that to me so many times. One of these days, you're going to wake up in a coma. that doesn't make... Anyway.
I did have that one down, but I also have, if you're going to hang out with them, expect badness, because that's what you get when you hang out with freaks and losers. Believe me, I know.
Yeah, and turns and looks at Buffy when she says that.
Yeah, so she's in true Cordelia bitchy form in that scene, and then by the end of the episode, she pretty much saves the day.
Yeah.
So
Oh, just one thing I wanted to mention about comas.
yeah.
There was actually a AMA on Reddit today. I was reading about comas and people who've woken up from comas and what was it like. And there is no like quote unquote wake up from comas.
Yeah.
It's kind of a slow progression where you don't remember the first few weeks of you awaking from the coma. Generally, you're not in a coma for that long. If you're in a coma for any more than a few months, then you're probably going to have some long-term damage.
Yeah.
And long-term recovery as well. So there's no like you don't just spring out of bed. Like you have to learn to walk and even put glasses on your face again. Apparently, so what some people were saying, like you just forget everything, people's names, people's faces, and who they are, and you have to relearn everything, which a lot of people do recover from.
Well, that's brain injury in general.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it usually comes from.
Yeah, well,
a brain injury usually.
And surgery.
Yeah, so comas aren't great, and you don't wake up from them from hearing a Bruce Springsteen song. There's no wake up.
Well, funnily enough, and this will be spoilers for Angel if you haven't watched Angel, what ends up happening to her character is that she ends up in a coma, and then she does the suddenly waking up from a coma.
Yeah.
Comes in, saves the day, and then but she was never actually there. She was still in the coma.
Ooh, dun dun dun.
She was still in the coma, and then she dies.
Oh, spoilers!
She's dead. Yeah, they actually really they do Cordelia dirty in Angel. That last season.
And we know why.
And
wink,
we know
wink.
why.
She knocked back Joss, didn't she?
It was funny. I was actually reading a debate today about what was it? Whether it was on one of those Facebook groups, and people were debating about whether Eliza Dushku and Sarah Michelle Gellar were on good terms.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, and there were just people going on, and it was like, oh, but I thought they weren't on good terms because Eliza was the one that had the affair with Joss.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And then someone else, no, wasn't that this, and then they started.
Did she?
Going on about other.
No, did Eliza Dushku have a.
No, it's all gossip. All gossip.
Okay, all right, yeah, fair enough.
It was just all gossip, but they were all stating it like it was fact.
Yeah, okay. Well, she did get that gig on Dollhouse, so she did something right.
Yeah, Amy Acker was also another target. They were like, no, it wasn't Eliza Dushku that he was having the affair with. It was Amy Acker, who plays Fred.
Yeah.
Or Whiskey in Dollhouse. So, who gets a wooden spoon?
I said Xander.
I was going to go moo.
Moo spoon.
Moo.
Yeah. They suck.
Moo. Who's the MVP of the episode?
Oh, I gave it to Buffy.
I was tossing up between Cordelia and Giles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, he didn't really do anything in the end.
No, he did. He did the spell so that they could see the
Oh yeah, he
Gretel.
did it. He did it.
And
the
then
spell.
with Cordelia, and then Cordelia put out
the fire.
Yeah, she's the one. She's the one who was like, "Oh, a fire hose! How convenient."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the stake through the neck thing was pretty cool. Did I get him?
Oh, she also works out the whole where are the parents? Like,
yeah.
Do these kids have names?
Well, she didn't even get to that part though. Like she worked it out, but wasn't even able to elaborate on that information to anyone because by the time she worked it out, it was too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right. Yeah, maybe a joint effort of Giles and Cordy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Buffy.
What do you rate this episode out of 10 using something from the episode?
I gave it 3 wooden stakes to the throat. maybe 4.
I gave it 1 out of 10 fancy cans of hairspray.
Cost like $40 or something, didn't they?
$45 from Europe. Why the hell are they confiscating hairspray?
Some sort of incense thing or something.
How's that got anything to do with the occult?
I don't know.
Anyway.
All right. Well, I got nothing more to add.
And
Have you?
no.
No? All right, well, shall we just sort of wrap this up and say thank you for joining us. We are Nerd Subculture. My name is Jared.
And I'm Edwina.
And you can find us on
TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. There is a Facebook group, and you can email us at nerdsubculture@gmail.com.
And be sure to like, share, subscribe. Look forward to our next episode. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure you enjoy it. Take care. See ya.
It's helpless.
All right.
Grr arg.